What if I told you that the secrets of life, the very fabric of our existence, don't just lie in cells or DNA or the chemical reactions we've memorized in school, but in the strange, invisible world of quantum physics? Welcome to quantum biology, where birds can see magnetic fields, where plants use quantum algorithms to harvest sunlight, and where your very consciousness may be tied to subatomic events that defy logic. This is not science fiction. This is the cutting edge of science. This is subatomic bloom. In this video, we're diving deep into the most mind-bending, misunderstood, and mysteriously beautiful science you've never been taught, quantum biology. We'll break it down, what it is, where it comes from, how it's hiding in plain sight all around us, and what the future looks like when we finally understand it. So get ready, because your view of life is about to change forever. Let's start at the beginning. What is quantum biology? Simply put, it's the study of how quantum mechanics, the rules that govern the tiniest particles in the universe, affect biological systems. You see, classical biology works well at large scales: cells, organs, ecosystems. But what happens when we zoom in? I mean, really zoom in. Down to the level of atoms, electrons, photons, the true building blocks of life. That's where quantum biology comes alive. It asks, do living things use the laws of quantum physics? Do they depend on them to function? And if so, what does that mean about life itself? To understand it, let's briefly revisit 4 key quantum concepts. 1. Superposition. Particles can exist in multiple states at once, until measured. 2. Tunneling. Particles can pass through barriers they have no classical right to cross. 3. Entanglement. Particles can become mysteriously linked, even when separated by vast distances. And 4. Coherence. The ability of a quantum system to maintain its delicate superposition long enough to be useful. These aren't science fiction, they're facts, and now they're showing up inside living things. To understand the future of quantum biology, we must first understand its past. A story that spans nearly a century, from genius speculation to fringe rejection, and now to scientific revolution. Our story begins not in a biology lab, but in the strange and counterintuitive world of quantum mechanics. In the early 20th century, scientists like Max Planck, Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, and Werner Heisenberg began unraveling the bizarre behavior of matter at the atomic scale. They discovered that the universe at its smallest level didn't follow the predictable rules of Newtonian physics. Instead, particles could exist in multiple places at once, pass through barriers they shouldn't, and influence each other across vast distances, instantly. This was quantum mechanics. But what does this have to do with life? In it, Schrödinger asked a bold question. Could quantum laws be the foundation of biological order? He suggested that genes, far too stable and precise for classical thermodynamics to explain, might rely on quantum principles to preserve their information. He also speculated that quantum effects could explain the apparent order from disorder in living systems, a direct challenge to the second law of thermodynamics. What is Life became required reading for a generation of scientists. It even inspired James Watson and Francis Crick, who discovered the double helix structure of DNA. But Schrödinger's quantum claims, they were largely ignored. Too abstract, too speculative, too far ahead of their time. For decades afterward, quantum biology remained in the shadows. From the 1950s through the 1990s, biology surged forward. DNA sequencing, cell theory, neuroscience, molecular biology, all of it built on classical physics and chemistry. Meanwhile, quantum mechanics flourished in physics, chemistry, and computing, but was considered far too fragile to exist in wet, warm, and noisy biological environments. The consensus was simple. Quantum effects, like superposition or entanglement, could only happen at ultra-cold temperatures or in highly controlled systems. And biology was anything but controlled. So the idea that quantum phenomena could survive, let alone thrive, in living systems, it was dismissed as science fiction. Only a few bold researchers kept asking the question, could life, at its most fundamental level, be quantum mechanical?
Everything changed at the turn of the 21st century. In the early 2000s, new technologies, ultra-fast lasers, single-molecule spectroscopy, quantum computing frameworks gave scientists tools to observe biological processes in unprecedented detail. And what they found was astonishing. In 2007, a landmark experiment at the University of California, Berkeley, used 2D electronic spectroscopy to study photosynthesis in algae. They discovered that energy from light wasn't traveling in a random walk through the plant's light harvesting complexes. Instead, it was exploring multiple energy pathways simultaneously, using quantum coherence, just like a quantum computer. This was proof. Quantum effects were not just surviving, they were enhancing biological efficiency. Other breakthroughs followed. Entangled electrons in birds' eyes explained magnetic navigation. Enzymes were shown to use quantum tunneling to accelerate reactions. Quantum theories of smell challenged old assumptions. Microtubules in neurons became candidates for quantum consciousness. Suddenly, quantum biology was no longer fringe, it was foundational. Today, quantum biology is a rising discipline, sitting at the intersection of physics, chemistry, and life sciences. Universities across the globe now offer research programs in quantum biology. Top journals publish papers on quantum coherence in photosynthesis, quantum tunneling in DNA mutations, and quantum theories of the mind. Even governments and tech companies are investing in the implications for quantum medicine, quantum sensors, and bio-inspired quantum computing. And while many questions remain, one thing is clear. Quantum biology is not just a passing trend. It's a paradigm shift, one that challenges how we define life, how we treat disease, and even how we understand consciousness itself. So, from the dreams of Schrödinger to the skepticism of the mid-century and the experimental triumphs of the modern age, quantum biology has risen from the margins of science to become one of its most exciting frontiers. And we're only just beginning to understand what it means. Quantum biology isn't just theory anymore. It's reality. And if you know where to look, it's happening all around us. In plants, in animals, even inside your own body. In this section, we'll uncover 5 stunning examples of quantum mechanics in action. Hidden beneath feathers, leaves, noses, neurons, and even enzymes, let's dive into how nature has been quietly mastering quantum physics for millions of years. Our journey starts in the sky. Imagine a European robin. Small, fragile, and yet capable of navigating across thousands of kilometers during migration, with no map, no compass, and no GPS. How? The answer lies in quantum entanglement, happening inside the bird's eyes. The robin has a light-sensitive protein called cryptochrome in its retina. When photons of sunlight hit this protein, they excite electrons into forming entangled radical pairs, particles that are still connected even while moving independently. Now here's the trick. The behavior of those entangled electrons is subtly influenced by Earth's magnetic field. This gives the bird a kind of heads-up display, a magnetic visual overlay that helps it literally see north and south. This means birds don't just sense magnetic fields. They quantum calculate direction in real time using entangled particles. This isn't a metaphor. It's quantum biology with wings. Now look at the nearest leaf. Or think of algae floating in the ocean. Every second they convert sunlight into energy through photosynthesis. But researchers discovered something shocking in this process.
Inside light harvesting complexes, networks of pigments like chlorophyll, photons are absorbed and then passed toward the reaction center, where energy conversion happens. But this journey isn't random. Using a technique called 2D electronic spectroscopy, scientists found that these particles of light don't take just one path, they take all paths at once, thanks to a quantum property called coherence. In other words, the energy doesn't guess or wait, it samples every possible route simultaneously and chooses the most efficient one, just like how a quantum computer operates. This allows photosynthetic organisms to achieve near perfect energy transfer efficiency. Think about that. Every tree, every blade of grass, every algae bloom is running quantum optimization to harvest sunlight. Nature's had quantum computing all along. We're just catching up. Let's move from the forest to your nose.
Have you ever noticed that some molecules that look nearly identical can smell completely different? That mystery puzzled scientists for decades. The old theory said smell was based on shape, like molecules fitting into receptors, lock and key. But that didn't explain everything. Now, a new theory is emerging, one that involves quantum tunneling. Here's how it works. When an odor molecule enters your nose, it vibrates at a specific frequency. Inside your olfactory receptors, electrons may tunnel across small energy gaps, but only if the vibration of the molecule matches a certain frequency, like hitting the right note on a piano. This is called vibrational spectroscopy, and it means you don't just smell a molecule's shape, you smell its quantum vibrations. In other words, your sense of smell might literally be quantum mechanical. Let's go even deeper, inside your cells. There, molecular machines called enzymes control nearly every chemical reaction that keeps you alive. But here's the paradox. Many of these reactions happen faster than they should, sometimes millions of times faster, even when classical physics says they should be impossible. So how are they doing it? The answer lies in quantum tunneling. In some reactions, tiny particles, like protons or electrons, don't go over energy barriers. They go through them. This is tunneling, one of the weirdest, most unintuitive parts of quantum mechanics. And enzymes seem to be designed to take advantage of it, carefully shaping their environments to allow particles to tunnel at the perfect moment. It's as if enzymes have evolved into biological quantum engineers, bending the rules of reality for the sake of speed and survival. Quantum mechanics isn't just tolerated in biology, it's used, it's optimized, it's part of the blueprint of life. And finally, let's talk about the brain, the most complex object in the known universe. Some scientists, like Sir Roger Penrose and Dr. Stuart Hameroff, have proposed a radical idea that human consciousness may arise, at least in part, from quantum computation happening inside your neurons. The theory centers on microtubules, tiny structures inside brain cells. They're structured, repeating, and potentially small enough to support quantum coherence for brief moments. This idea, called the orchestrated objective reduction, or theory, suggests that quantum events in microtubules could influence when and how neurons fire, and maybe even give rise to conscious experience. Controversial? Definitely. But recent experiments have found quantum vibrations in microtubules exactly what the theory predicted. The question is no longer if quantum effects exist in biology, the question is how deep they go.
We've seen how quantum mechanics shapes life today, but what about tomorrow? What happens when we take what we're learning from birds, enzymes, and photosynthesis, and build technology, medicine, and even philosophy on top of it? The future of quantum biology is no longer science fiction, it's unfolding right now, across labs, hospitals, and universities around the world. Let's explore what's next. First, let's talk about health. Right now, Biology and medicine are built on classical chemistry. We diagnose disease based on symptoms, detect cancer using bulk imaging, and develop drugs by trial and error. But quantum biology may flip that entirely. Imagine a world where doctors use quantum sensors to detect cancer before it spreads, by picking up changes in single molecules, or the spin of an electron in mutated DNA, or drugs that don't just bind to receptors, but exploit quantum tunneling or vibrational resonance to selectively activate proteins. One field leading this charge is quantum pharmacology, the idea that drug molecules might function not just based on structure, but also quantum behavior, how they vibrate, tunnel, or resonate. In the near future, we may be designing medicine not with models in 3D space, but models in quantum space, a revolution in how we treat disease, heal faster, and age slower. Next, quantum computing. Today's quantum computers are built in sterile labs, cryogenically cooled, isolated from noise, and hypersensitive to error. But nature has been running error-resistant quantum systems in warm, wet, chaotic environments for billions of years. Photosynthetic bacteria, migratory birds, human neurons. These systems may hold the blueprints for more stable, scalable quantum computers. In the coming years, we may build biomimetic quantum processors, devices that mimic how leaves optimize energy flow, or how enzymes guide tunneling events with atomic precision. This means better decoherence protection, improved quantum error correction, and machines that think more like living systems. The future of quantum computing might not just be built from silicon and superconductors. It might be inspired by cells, proteins, and evolution itself.
Let's take it a step deeper, into the mind. If theories like ORCOR or quantum cognition prove true, we may be standing on the edge of a new neuroscientific paradigm. What if consciousness isn't just the sum of electrical signals, but the product of quantum information processing? That could mean thought isn't linear, it's non-local. Mem isn't static, it's entangled. Awareness isn't chemical, it's probabilistic, a collapse of possibilities into experience. So in the next 10 to 20 years, new brain imaging tools may detect quantum signatures in live neural activity, coherence, tunneling, or entanglement between neurons. So if proven, this could lead to a quantum model of consciousness, changing how we understand mental illness, creativity, dreaming, and even free will. It may also bridge the gap between biology and philosophy, between how we live and why we live. Now scale that vision outward, to nature itself. What if ecosystems, forests, coral reefs, even entire biomes are optimized through quantum principles? We could design more efficient solar panels by mimicking chlorophyll's quantum transport, or develop agricultural systems that use quantum-tuned microbes for faster growth, less waste, and more carbon capture. Living materials that adapt, heal, and compute at the molecular level. Quantum biology doesn't just inform medicine or machines. It could reshape how we live on Earth, and potentially, how we terraform and sustain life beyond it. But with this power comes a new kind of responsibility. Quantum biology forces us to rethink life itself. Where does life begin? As it said, quantum biology already intelligent in ways we don't understand. What happens when we simulate life on quantum machines? Will it feel? Will it know? And if consciousness is quantum, could AI, if built on quantum biological models, eventually become self-aware? The implications stretch into ethics, identity, and meaning. We're no longer just exploring how quantum physics affects life. We're beginning to ask, is life itself a quantum phenomenon? And if so, what does that mean for us as a species? So it's sci-fi hypotheticals anymore. It's a scientific questions with real-world stakes. So what have we seen today? That life, in all its chaos and beauty, is not just governed by the laws of Newton or Darwin, but by the rules of the quantum world, a world of probability, entanglement, coherence, and infinite possibility. From birds that see Earth's magnetic field, to plants that compute the most efficient path for sunlight, to enzymes tunneling through barriers, and maybe even consciousness itself whispering through quantum space. Quantum biology reveals one undeniable truth. We are more than molecules.
We are quantum stories playing out across time, space, and probability. And this is just the beginning, because the deeper we look into life, the more it looks back at us, revealing intelligence not just in brains or machines, but in nature itself. So, if you've made it this far, you're not just curious. You're part of a new generation of minds ready to question deeper, think broader, and see the universe not just as it is, but as it could be. Welcome to Subatomic Bloom, where science becomes story and life becomes quantum. Subscribe, stay curious, and remember, the universe isn't made of stuff, it's made of secrets. And we're here to uncover them.